What if I told you that through the power of interior styling, your apartment could feel like a true home and actually tell your personal story without you having to say a word? For me personally, as an introvert, I use my personal style to communicate things about myself. So even when I'm quiet, my style has plenty to say. And ultimately, this makes it so that my apartment feels more like a home that I own, even though I'm technically renting. And treating your interior decor as your autobiography, an expression of who you are, where you've been, who you dream yourself to be, is a beautiful way to create that sense of ownership and belonging. So in this video, I'm going to give you some ideas on how you can make your decor feel personal to you and your unique story so that your apartment can feel like the home you deserve. And we're actually going to get truly personal here because I asked you guys in a community post recently, what are some things that you love? And I'll be using the things you responded with as examples throughout the video to show you that you can find a cute piece of decor for pretty much any interest. And if you're new here, my name is Steffi and this is Hilo, and on this channel I talk about small apartment styling tips, cozy living, and the joys of living alone. So if you're into that, consider subscribing and giving this video a like. So I actually touched on this idea of decor as autobiography in last week's video when I was talking about this gallery wall by Ella's House of Color over on Instagram. Each piece is a piece of her. It's a wall-mounted autobiography of her that tells you things about her. I'm obviously a huge proponent of decor as autobiography. We can use decor to tell our stories and say things about ourselves without words. And a couple of you liked this concept, including India Simone 6645, who requested I make a video diving deeper into decor as autobiography. So here we are. And simply put, it's really all about thinking about your interior styling as telling a story, specifically your story. And when it comes to story, when I'm watching a show or reading a book, I think the most important thing is character development. And in the story of your styling, you're the main character. Decorate like it. In your apartment, you're Frodo. You're Luke Skywalker. You're Buffy. This is one area where main character syndrome is a good thing. This is your chance to be self-absorbed, especially if you live alone. If you do live with someone, then there, I guess, has to be two main characters in this story, which can be messy, I know, but I digress. And as the main character, or one of the main characters, you are a fully developed and complex being that propels a story forward. In this case, a visual story. Who are you? What do you love? What are your hobbies? What have you experienced in life? And how can you translate those things about you into your space? For example, some of the TV shows, movies, and books you guys love are Lord of the Rings, Star Wars, Pride and Prejudice, Harry Potter, Penny Dreadful, and Firefly. I swear some of you are like carbon copies of me when it comes to your fandoms. Like Penny Dreadful and Firefly are two of my favorite shows of all time. And reading through your comments, it was just funny to see how similar a lot of us are to each other. And these are some of the decor pieces I found that represent those shows, books, and movies we love so much. See how these are actually pretty cute and stylish? That's really the trick here. It's to incorporate your interests in a stylish way. And of course, style is subjective, but I recommend challenging yourself to find items that check both boxes of personality and style. This is how you can make your space your own while also keeping things aesthetically pleasing. The balance between the two is the sweet spot. So we want to go for stylish, creative, clever, and/or thoughtful interpretations of the things you love, rather than tacky, plasticky, thumbtack to the wall type stuff, you know? So take these Star Wars glasses, for example. From far away, these would just look like glasses with a cool geometric pattern and a little bit of a pretty sparkle. It's not until you really look that you realize they're even Star Wars designs, which creates a fun surprise and delight moment. Finding subtle, clever ways like this to incorporate the things you love is just kind of delightful. Like you have a little secret with yourself until, say, one of your guests realizes they're drinking from a Star Wars glass and it becomes a conversation starter. Same thing with this Harry Potter jewelry box. At first glance, it just looks like a pretty jewelry box, but if you really look, you realize it's a piece of the Hogwarts castle. By the way, Pottery Barn Teen, believe it or not, weirdly has a lot of cute Harry Potter decor pieces like this. So if you want to incorporate your Harry Potter fandom into your space in super pretty ways, check out Pottery Barn Teen. And then this candle is another example of a more subtle option. From far away, it's a nice looking candle. Up close, you realize there's an elvish inscription on it. Perfect for Lord of the Rings fans. And then on the other hand, you can get more obvious with your personality decor pieces. Your fandom decor doesn't always have to be a cute little secret with yourself. Like this Penny Dreadful and Firefly art pieces, and then also this Pride and Prejudice blanket are definitely more obvious because they literally are the things they're representing and more, straightforward rather than abstract. Yet, if you picture them in a room, they'd still look stylish. They would add to the style of a room rather than detract from it. It's about finding elevated, visually interesting depictions of our fandom. Same thing with the music you guys are into. Janis Joplin, the Beatles, the Doors, and even Chopin were some of your favorites that you responded to my post with. And music is probably the most forgiving when it comes to keeping things stylish while conveying fandom, because you really can't go wrong with a framed poster of a musician that almost always looks good. Especially Janis Joplin posters. There's so many out there of her and they all look cool. But you can also try to find a different take on combining music with decor, like Beatles lyrics printed on a candle like this, or a Doors record reshaped into a bowl. And sometimes artists find interesting ways to incorporate music into their art, like this piece with Chopin sheet music integrated in an abstract art context. These are ways of taking the fandom thing and reshaping it into something else, therefore making it feel less on the nose and straightforward, and instead more creative and elegant. So basically, think about what you, the main character of your own story, love, and how can you represent those things in stylish ways through your decor. These are the things to consider when you're decorating your space like a main character. And then, as you're styling the story of your space, another thing to consider is genre. What kind of visual story do you, the main character, want to exist in? Maybe a dramatic period piece full of vintage finds, or a rom-com with a bunch of soft feminine touches, or maybe a gothic vampire story with dark, moody vibes. In practical terms, we can think of this as just, what interior style are you going for? Minimalism, for example, can tell a tranquil, feel-good story for a main character who wants to find serenity amidst the chaos of everyday life. Dark academia can be a dark romance set in the halls of a 19th century library for a main character who loves reading and uncovering mysteries using their sharp intellect. Whimsy goth can tell a dark fairy tale for a main character who fantasizes about living a life of peaceful solitude as a swamp witch in an enchanted forest among the fairies and the frogs. What overall aesthetic and atmosphere do you want to exist in? Like, let's go with the whimsy goth example. Certain personality decor pieces simply make sense within the genre of whimsy goth. So one of you likes dragons, for example. Here are some cute pieces of dragon decor that would be well suited for the genre of whimsy goth in particular. Now, I'm not saying the overall interior style you're going for has to match your personality pieces. You could totally do dragons in like a mid-century modern space if you wanted to. I'm saying you can allow these things to influence each other and help you carry out the vision you have for a room. And then one of you is into anatomy, which is a fun little challenge finding cute decor for. But leave it to me. Of course, I found some cute anatomy-oriented decor pieces. And going back to the dark academia example, don't you think these would go well with the genre of dark academia? They would complement the style and help bolster it while also conveying something you're into. One of you is into board games, and here are some stylish ways to represent that in a room. Something playful like this could be a great way to add some fun to a genre like minimalism, which, while beautiful when done well, is a style that can feel a bit sterile or boring if not done well. So adding some fun-spirited pieces like this that are also aesthetically pleasing can be a way to add personality to a minimalist room. Then one of you likes octopi, which would be another way to inject some playfulness into a room. So you can use your personality pieces to combat the pitfalls of certain style genres, not just to enhance the good things about them. And again, I want to stress, look at all of these pieces. They represent dragons, octopi, board games, anatomy, but do so in stylish, cool-looking, elevated ways. Again, I know it's subjective, but I like to think I have a pretty good eye for these types of things. So do you see how you can use the things you love as the main character in your space in harmony with the interior style genres you're going for? The two can inform each other, dance with each other, and help propel you through your interior styling choices, and ultimately get you to a place where your apartment not only looks stylish, but also feels like you. So those were my thoughts on the concept of decor as autobiography. Trust me, if you are a fan of something, you can probably find a cute piece of decor that represents it. Etsy especially, you'll notice that most of the things I featured here are from Etsy. Etsy is a great place to find fandom-oriented things. Anyway, let me know in the comments below, how do you portray your main character traits through your decor? And what interior style genres does your space take place in? And if you want to see some really good examples of people conveying their personalities through their decor, watch this video next. It's specifically about maximalism, but whether you're a maximalist or not, the Instagram accounts I feature in this are such perfect examples of people stylishly conveying the things they love through their decor. So watch this one next.